Ringville episode, Matt Awesome. Hey everyone, how you doing? My name is Kevin Herrera Sanchez, KHS. Welcome to another episode of Ringville. Today I have the absolute pleasure sitting down with, you've seen him wrestle at Battleclub Pro, House of Glory, We Are Wrestling, Blood, Sweat, and Tears Wrestling, Test of Strength Wrestling, and many, many more. Hailing from the Bronx, New York, Matt Awesome.
Damn. You really did your homework, bro.
That's part of it. Yeah, that's part of it. I have to.
Hey, love it, man.
Yeah, appreciate you for taking the time, sitting down with me, man. Like pulling up with the Crow shirt too.
Yes. Greatest movie of all time. Greatest.
There you go.
If you know, you know. Y'all all know that.
One of the first things I wanted to talk about and just kind of bring up is you carry your heritage and your culture very proudly in wrestling. Being Puerto Rican, how important is that for you to do?
Very important, because now you see it more, because you see it with Damian Priest being the first Puerto Rican world champion in 50 years.
Which is crazy.
It's crazy. And mind you, there was so many. Carlito was there for so long. You know, he could have been a world champion. He had the stamina, he had the skill to do it. You had his brothers there. They were tag team champions, but that was it. But they were never labeled as Puerto Rican. Never. And then when you look at the flip side of things, when you go to like TNA and Impact, you had LAX. Yeah. And Homicide always repped it. Always repped it. And then you had Amazing Red, always repping it. Yeah. Then you got Ring of Honor, you had the SATs, you had Loki, had the Hit Squad, all Puerto Ricans, killing it. And it was not in the limelight per se, but it was there. We had the representation, but it's always crucial to be represented, and you got to represent your culture.
Absolutely.
So I completely stand behind my culture, and it's crazy to have like been trained by, one of my trainers is Santana. He's helped me along the way, and for him to rep it as hard as he reps it, I'm like, nah, like we can't let him be the only one to do it.
Right.
So to be able to rep it, and especially rep it with my tag team partner, we just go in. Especially this year, being the fact that you did mention House of Glory. Fun fact, that was my debut match this past June for Mike Santana's Puerto Rican weekend. And to represent, to debut, and to represent for my people on our weekend, oh, man, it was butterflies, freaking bees, everything was fighting each other in my stomach. And I'm like, yo, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? Just be me. Just exuberate my boricua. Like pull it all out, because it's my weekend.
Absolutely.
And to be able to do that, oh man, it was great. And then to basically be captain of Team Pegao for Pegao versus Con Con this past April for We Are Wrestling. Shout outs to my team. Y'all the best. And Con Con, y'all cool too. I'm cool with y'all. I like y'all. But it was cool to represent like Puerto Rico on that night too. So
Absolutely.
To represent means a lot. And I'm a New Yorican at the end of the day too. So you got the mix of both worlds.
Right. You mentioned House of Glory's my Santana's Puerto Rican weekend. What's the feeling like? And you mentioned it a little bit, but having people who are from the same place as you coming out, showing support, showing the love, and just like it's such a beautiful thing seeing just a whole group of people just kind of there supporting the same thing. What does that feel like for you?
It feels amazing. Like, again, when you've gone to the shows, you see how when my music hits, how the fans get, right? So think about it like this. My music hits in a place where I've never wrestled before. But there's literally maybe like a handful or two there that know who I am. Right. But they didn't know exactly when I was gonna come out. So out of nowhere, you hear my music hit, and those few start screaming, so everybody starts looking that way. But everybody has a Puerto Rican flag. Yeah, I have one too. So I'm like, this is a little interesting. But to have like when that music hits and I'm coming on, I hear them like screaming. I'm like, yeah, it's time. Like I got into a zone where I almost forgot where I was at for a second. I'm like, I'm in the Amazura club and I'm going into a House of Glory ring right now. This is great. Like this is something that I wanted to do for the 8 years of me being in wrestling. And everybody's there. But not that just everybody's there for a wrestling show. Everybody's there to celebrate Puerto Rican heritage.
Yeah.
And not only that, the whole card was Puerto Ricaned out. Like,
It was.
from top to bottom, even the referee was an honorary Puerto Rican for the night. That's what we were calling him the whole night. He was Italian, so it's close. It's close to it. But it was a Puerto Rican card from beginning to end. And to say I was on a card where I was in the same locker room as Amazing Red, somebody I've watched through Ring of Honor, TNA, his stint in Japan. Like, I've watched the man's work. I watched the master at work, I always say. And to also be in the locker room with Homicide, to be in the locker room with Dan Moff, Carlos Colon was there, the Colones, and my peers, Jarett Diaz, Absolute Chris Cage, Eden, Pedro Dones, Charles Mason, main event. How can I forget? I wrestled them. Main event. To be in a locker room with those guys and freaking Mercedes Martinez and Tasha Steele, who I call my auntie, Mercedes Martinez. Shout out to Mercedes. Love you. And my prima, Tasha Steele's. Like, it was so cool. Like, we all were there for a reason, and it was to put on something on the eve of the Puerto Rican Day Parade. So we were hyping people up before the biggest party of the summer. So it was, I know WWE calls SummerSlam the biggest part of the summer. Nah.
Not in New York.
It's the Puerto Rican Day Parade that's the biggest party of the summer. And you don't got to be Puerto Rican to be at the parade to have a good time. You don't. So the pride it's ingrained in us. It's in our blood. So we waved that flag for a reason. And to have that whole crowd, like when I came out, it was half filled, like a bit half filled, a little more than half filled. But when Santana came out, it was a sea of Puerto Rican flags waving, like it looked like Fifth Avenue. Nice. And I was lucky enough, I was the first match out. So I was able to enjoy the whole card. Yeah. So I'm sitting at my merch table, and I usually take the merch table where I can see the ring. So I'm sitting up, and I'm like, yo, that's a sea of people. It looks like Fifth Avenue. And the flags are waving. Yeah. And even for Red had the mix of songs, and his mix of songs, I kid you not, I was vibing out to them. And I love the new theme because it was the same theme he used for that show. So I'm like, yo, man, that's why I love Red. Look at that. But to just put on for my people, and everybody in that crowd, whether they being Puerto Rican or not, they helped us show our pride and scream with us, which I love it every single time.
So, no, absolutely. It's a beautiful thing. And then you talk about teaming up with Homicide. There's also a picture of you where you, Elijah Eden, and Osito are with Savio Vega holding the Puerto Rican flag. Like, it was the promotion Blood, Sweat, and Tears where you teamed with Savio Vega against Osito and Elijah Eden. Like, what's it like teaming with two legends like that are like that majority of the wrestling business now? So
I'm gonna take you back to February when I found out about me teaming with Homicide. So I got hit up by Adonis Stone and Grim Reefer. Okay. Shout out to Reefer, you the man. They run a promotion called Loud East Wrestling, and usually it runs in the Bronx and sometimes it runs in Ridgefield Park. So they've been running more in Ridgefield recently. Adonis and Reefer are like, yo, Matt, you available on the 30th of March? I'm like, yeah, I am. I mean, I'm double check. So I had to double check because that's wifey's birthday weekend. So I have to make sure we weren't doing anything important. Yeah. And I'm like, why? What's up? What's going on? What we got? Because they have us as a tag team there, me and Jarett. And they were like, well, we're setting up a triple threat match, a six-man tag match. I'm like, okay, cool. So who we got on our team? And instead of them telling me, they sent me the flyer. So they already had the flyer made up, and I didn't even know about this yet.
They locked you in before you knew
it. They locked me in before locking me in. So I'm like, is that not Homicide? They were like, yeah. I'm like, yeah, seriously, I'm a team with Homicide. They were like, yeah. I'm like, oh my God.
That's where they knew they could lock you in. Like,
yeah, I'm like, of course. And then I told my girl was like, well, we're just doing the brunch in the house on my birthday, the day of my birthday. I'm like, all right, so I'm wrestling on the 30th. I'm teaming with Homicide. And she was like, I was going to tell you to go team with Homicide anyways. That's Homicide. I'm like, I know. So I'm teaming with them.
Yeah.
So sure enough, with me, it goes back to my cousin Chris. He used to bring Ring of Honor DVDs all the time.
Okay.
Every other weekend, he'll sleep over his grandmother's house, who was down the block from me, and he'll come and stay in my house for like 1 or 2 of those days.
Nice.
So he would bring me Ring of Honor DVDs.
Yeah.
So I got a chance to know who Homicide was.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yo, who's this dude? And he's from Brooklyn,
Mm-hmm.
and he's Puerto Rican. Mind you, I'm a South Bronx kid. But I'm like, yo, no, he's Puerto Rican. I gotta watch this guy. So I watched as much as I could of Homicide. Like I found stuff. When the internet started booming with wrestling, I started finding Homicide matches there, getting DVDs, getting tapes.
Yeah.
That's how far back I was watching him. And to team with him, this shit was crazy because I got a chance to talk with him and hang out with him prior to it. Like I've been under his tree for a little while already.
Mm-hmm.
So to team with him was amazing because then he hits me up in the DM, hey, yo, we're teaming together. And I'm like, yeah, we are. Yeah. We're teaming. So that, like everybody talks about how many matches they had in a year or how many titles they won. Yeah. Nah, it was teaming with Homicide for me. And then fast forward to, it was August, September, talking about teaming with Savio Vega. Because Pete Rosado put on it was a We Are Wrestling presentation match for BST's United by One show. It was a show that it brings awareness around juvenile diabetes.
Okay.
And it's a benefit show. It's a fundraiser. And last year was my first time debuting in wrestling for that show.
Okay.
So this year they were bringing me in, and they're bringing Savio. Yeah. So on that night we honored my girlfriend too, who is a type 1 diabetic, and we honored her for like all her achievements and what she's done in life, and that she's had it for so long, and she's been successful like in life and doing things, not letting it put her down or bring her back, you know.
Shout out to your girl.
Yeah. She's motivation to me too. Like she's my motivation sometimes.
Nice.
Yeah. Even though sometimes she makes me do the dishes and change the cat's litter, walk the dog, but it's an adult stuff. Yeah. But, so. We, the night before I'm hanging out with Savio, of course, because he did the We Are Wrestling show. He wrestled Darius Carter. Yes, and me, him, and Moff are joking in the locker room and talking. So the next night, we have the same merch table, and we go to the back. He tells my girl and my stepdaughter, he goes, hey, watch my stuff. And I'm like, you know what? You should give him a payment? He was like, what? I'm like, call Benito. FaceTime Benito, just say hi to them. Mm-hmm. And they were like, you doing that for you? I'm like, yeah. I'm a big Bad Bunny fan, so yeah. So we go to the back. Eden and Osito, they're ecstatic. They're like, oh my God, we're teaming with Savio Vega. We're teaming with Savio. We're going to wrestle Savio Vega. We're wrestling. Yeah. I'm like, I'm teaming with him. I'm like, well, we're wrestling you guys.
Yeah.
And those are the bros. Like, I love those two so much. Like, I really wanted Calle Vivo versus the Uptown Boys. But we got Calle Vivo versus Los Boricuas 2024. Yeah. So we go back to talk about the match, and Savio was like, whatever y'all want to do. What do y'all want to do? Nice. Mind you, this man's in his 60s. Yeah. And this man could still kick people's heads off.
He can.
He could still go.
He can.
And he was legit his name, Theo Savio. He was like, your Theo. He was like, yo. He was real cool, joking with us. One of his friends came by, told us a old Puerto Rican dirty joke. It was hilarious. And then, my cousin Harry is a big part of BST. He's one of the main guys there.
Okay.
So it wasn't his call to put me in that match. It was Pete's call. And after the match and everything, he pulls me aside after we take the pictures. And me and him, we took a picture with Savio. We sent it to my cousin Chris, because my cousin Chris, he's in Florida. And he pulls me aside and he gives me a big hug. And I give him a hug and I got a little emotional there. I'm like, bro, I just teamed with my childhood hero, Savio Vega. This is crazy. He was like, bro, this is going up now. Everything's just going up. I'm like, no, you don't get it. I teamed with Savio Vega.
Right.
Like, this was a man that was representing Puerto Rico in the 90s. Mm-hmm. Going, like, in the 90s in the WWE.
On the biggest platform in the world for wrestling.
Exactly. So I'm like, nah. This by far is like checked off. It wasn't on my bingo card at all this year. But I checked off teaming with two people I idolized and, you know, took a little bit of their style, but made it into my own.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for them, like there would have been other wrestlers, of course, because I have my other favorites, but it stands out so much that I got a chance to team with these two.
Yeah.
Like, hands down, I can't wait to go to Puerto Rico to hang out with Savio now. But, you know, he dropped some gems on us, and he ended up sending me his number. So whenever I go to Puerto Rico, to give him a call.
Yeah, fire.
Which is, I'm like, yo, I got Savio Vega's number.
Right.
This is freaking
That's
crazy.
great. Flex. Like.
Exactly. It's a me flex.
It is. Yeah, that's awesome to hear. And it's like it's really nice seeing you light up, hearing you talk about it. It's like, how did you get the name for the Coquito cutter?
So it was a 6-hour trip from New York to Pittsburgh. I was booked on MV Young's Poly M Coat Party 2 in Pittsburgh. I was trying to figure out how to get there. HOG had to get out there because he was going to be filming ringside, his clips. Shout out to HOG, love you, bro, hermano. I'm trying to figure it out, and Joe Kim is like, hey, I'm gonna drive him out there, come with us. So it was me, HOG, Joe Kim, and Johnny Santos. We were all in the car. So I'm like, yo, I'm trying to think of a move. I need a finisher. And Joe Kim goes, yo, how about this? So he says, put him in a fall-away Sam's position. Go for the fall-away slam, but turn it into a cutter. I'm like, trying to figure out the mechanics.
Yeah.
I'm like, I get it. Mind you, I'm not in the ring. I'm in a car. So I'm like, we're turning, and I'm like, okay, I got it. And then he was like, I'm like, I got to name it something, though, that can't be nothing with a chancla, because there's nothing chancla there. He was like, Coquito cutter. I'm like, that's it.
That's it.
So shout out to Joe Kim. You gave me that move. But yeah, Coquito cutter, and it was the first time I did it was at that show. And the person who took it, I felt so bad that I hit him with it. But he, by far, was the person to do the move and take it the best.
Oh, shit. And the very first time?
Very first time. And I think the most devastating time I hit it, that it looked like, oh my God, was on Boujii.
Boujii?
When I hit Boujii on it, our first match, one-on-one. And I even looked back at it and go, ooh. He was fine, I guess. I don't know how he felt after that, but, you know.
You was fine.
I was perfectly fine. Yeah. I won that match. I won that match. But anyways, but now I kind of trying to switch it up a bit, and I want to start hitting people with what's called the Bodega Buster.
Bodega Buster, okay.
Which is the spinning uranagi. So I hit it on Boujii.
Yeah.
Grab them, turning uranagi, basically.
Okay.
So it's similar to, it looks a little bit like Jay White's uranagi.
Yeah.
But it's the Bodega Buster.
Right. That's a great name, too.
And it's, you know, the manager, the gato, the cats, the bodega cats, it's approved by them.
So word? Oh, they signed off on it.
They signed off on it.
They had a meeting.
Yep.
Well, you mentioned Boujii. In 2024, We Are Wrestling, you and Boujii had this like year-long issue where it started in a 6-way, right? And then, like you said, it led on to a one-on-one match that kind of ended in, you know, weird. You said you won.
I won.
Some others would say nobody won. Boujii would say he won. And then it kind of built to this, the fans bring their own chanclas match. What's your opinions, thoughts on Boujii, and then was that year-like story for you?
So prior to wrestling him at We Are Wrestling, I respected him. Yeah. I respect the hustle. You know, he's a Bronx boy like myself. You know, we two Bronx dudes that we have a love for wrestling. We have a passion for wrestling. But not only just a passion, it's something we want to be able to support our families with. Right. So I respect the hustle. I will always respect the hustle because us Bronx men, we grind all the time. So I respect that aspect of him. And he has a great mind. He has a great head for wrestling. We faced each other prior to that 6-way in another 6-way match for my debut for Invictus versus Test of Strength. We were in a scramble match.
Okay.
First time we ever touched. And then we did the six-way, the six-train scramble for We Are Wrestling, which everybody knew that was my redemption match because earlier that year I came down with an asthma attack in the middle of the ring. So it took me out of the tournament for the title.
Mm-hmm.
So I was working on my health. I spoke with a pulmonologist. I got myself working again. I got myself right.
Yeah.
And that was my redemption match. And he waited till I hit the Coquito cut on Osito. He knew I was going to win the match.
Mm-hmm.
To throw me off of Osito, pin Osito, and take the win.
He stole it.
He stole my win. There's an asterisk next to that win. But here nor there, a win is a win, I guess, right?
Yeah.
So we fast forward to February. Mind you, getting towards February, I was doing my homework on Boujii. Watching matches, hitting up opponents that he's had.
Mm-hmm.
Spoke with Rev Ron Hunt, who's another one of the dudes that I respect and I talk to a lot. And he gave me insight and feedback for Boujii. So going into that match in February of this year, it was gonna be a hard hitter. And it was. We went at it. You know, he hit me with the cutter. I kicked out. He went for the stomp, he couldn't hit it. I hit him with the Coquito cutter. 1, 2, 3. If it wasn't for his friend to put his foot on the ropes, because it's clear as day in the video.
Mm-hmm.
But the referee didn't see it, counted to 3, gave me the title. I should have walked out the ring instead of celebrating.
Yeah.
I should have pulled the CM Punk. But I didn't, because the people wanted me to win. I wanted to celebrate my people there in the middle of the ring so everybody can celebrate, not just one corner or one side. To then get it ripped out of my hands and the match restarts, but behind the referee's back, I get low blowed. Stomped 1, 2, 3, and he retains his title. But there was something about that match when he's walking to the curtain, you could see it in his face. I took him to a limit where he almost lost his prized possession.
Yeah.
He did, technically. But the politics suck. Then he ruins Big Al versus Gong Gong by interfering in the match. The only reason why the referee called for the bell, because we were technically we could use chanclas, we used Big Al. We fed Big Al to freaking Cuzzo and kicked it out of his face. There were no weapons in the match like that. We didn't use a chair or nothing. He comes in, slides in, and hits me with a chair. The referee stopped it and called it a draw because he's neither Puerto Rican nor Dominican. What are you doing in the match?
Right.
But then you know the tension between me and Johnny Santos, who was my former tag team partner. But Johnny don't like that. Johnny came to bat for me. So did Kong Kong, because at the end of the day, we all cool.
Yeah.
Me and Johnny just had our differences.
Right.
And he brought back for one night only. Who knows if it's one night only? You're Awesome, which was me and Johnny's tag team back in the BWF days. Now you got two of the Bronx's tag teams facing off against you and PB Smooth, Killing Theirs.
Yeah.
I respect the hell out of PB. PB's a cool dude.
Mm-hmm.
He impressed me with his height and the way he can move.
Yeah.
That dude, he's a cool dude. But yeah, I kind of bit off a little bit more I can chew. I threw a shot at him and Jay. I called them PB and J. Called them the Uncrustable Club. And I got chewed up the next day with a promo by PB, which I earned that one because around that time, my fitness wasn't the best.
Mm.
Now I'm different, people. See? Getting there.
Flex.
But, that match too, it seems as if he couldn't find a way to beat me fair.
Yeah.
He threw powder in my face,
Right.
blinded me, hit me with the cutter. PB, of course, hits me with his move, 1, 2, 3. But that's when the fans were pissed off, and the fans got really pissed off about it, and they were like, nah. Pete comes out and says, nah, it's fans bring a chancla match. Yeah. And sure enough, they came in record numbers with chanclas. I was very surprised. Mm-hmm. And people saw a different side of me that night, and it was more of a side of me I've had the cool Matt Awesome, I'm gonna fight. Yeah, I'm good. I turn myself up all the time when I get to the ring. But y'all got South Bronx, Patterson Projects, Matt Awesome, because I ain't coming from the entrance. I jumped in through the crowd and slid in from behind. I took him around.
Yeah.
I was laying shots, and it was a different side of me, and everybody seemed to, you know, like that side. And, you know, hate him or love him, Boujii brought that side out of me.
Right.
My hat goes off to him to an extent
Yeah.
for bringing out that side of me. Do I like him? For another day. But do I have some respect for him right now? I do. Because, you know, he brought a different side of me out. So I respect that. And again, hustlers are going to hustle. He's going to keep grinding. He's going to keep doing what he got to do to be on top, to get noticed, to be either WWE ID'd or to be signed to TNA. You know, best of luck to him. I never wish any bad on anybody because I believe in karma. Mm-hmm. You believe bad on one person, it's going to come back and haunt you twice. So it's like, I can't wish bad on him. I hope he does well. I hope he, you know, gets that contract so he can feed his family. As much as I want to feed my family, get a contract somewhere. At the end of the day, the feud is over and done with.
For now.
Unless he wants to bring it back and have another one. I don't know. But then he'll probably get a different Matt Awesome. Yeah. Because again, evolve, change.
Exactly. You mentioned his name a few times during the interview. You have a tag team with Jarett Diaz.
Yes.
Uptown Boys.
Yep, the Uptown Boys.
How did that come together?
So, me and Jarett had a mutual person. I'm not gonna say relationship or whatnot it is, but we had a mutual person. They were like, hey, you know, such and such is, you know, he wrestles in Florida. I'm like, oh, cool. What's his name? So I found him online, started following him, started talking with him. Mm-hmm. He knows a few people I knew out there. So, oh, cool. He's coming back to New York to live. Oh, cool. Come back. You know, we'll chill. We'll go to wrestle, whatever. Yeah. So we ended up going to train one day at Coliseum Wrestling in Queens because I was like the only ring at the moment. And Pena goes with us, Steve Pena, who's one of my best friends. Shout out to Steve Pena. Shout out to him. He's the man. We go, we train or whatever. We're having a good time. And we're meshing. And I'm like, yo, we should tag. He was like, word. And sure enough, little by little, you know, we were kind of noticing a lot of similarities. You know, he's the high flyer. Yeah. I'm the brawler slash, you know, power. I could do lucha. Because I train lucha. So I could do it. I just choose not to. Mm-hmm. But I'll pull it out of the pocket if I need to.
Exactly.
And I have a joke about our team. I say, you know, we're sex appeal. He's the sex. I'm the peel. That was then. I don't know why. I mean, you know, with this whole new workouts I've been doing and everything. Shout out to Cesar Bonone with that one. You're the man. You're shaping Matt Awesome into the Matt Awesome he should be. We both might just be the sex, and we don't know who could be the appeal, but
it's just sex.
It is sex, just straight sex. But it's like we have such a good dynamic, and we complement each other very well in the ring. That, you know, wifey says it, his family says it, like, oh, you guys really have a dynamic there. Like you guys really complement each other like very well in the ring. And we give off this vibe that like we're cool guys, which we are. We're really cool dudes to hang out with. But yeah, it's like we can't say like he's the bronze, I'm the bruiser. No, we're both the brains. We strategize before we go into matches. Before we know our opponents. Yeah. And he does the high flying stuff. Like I had a mishap trying to do a dive one time years ago. I chose not to dive ever again until I get it. Yeah. Which we don't want Matt Awesome to not be awesome. So I'm not diving anytime soon. But I do apron cannonballs, which is the best. But Jarett, man, he's my best friend, and we've had matches against each other. We've wrestled each other, and we just bring the best out of each other every single time. And we've been in scramble matches together. We've been in fatal four ways against each other. We've been in singles matches against each other, rumbles. Yeah. But it never breaks our friendship, right? Which is crazy. Like tag teams tend to wrestle each other and break up, but we're kind of like FTR. Like they've wrestled each other and it just brought the best out of each other, and that's what we do each time. Yeah. And like Jarett's the man. Like, tell you the truth, like if I wasn't teaming with Johnny Santos or Jarett, I don't know who would be my tag team partner besides probably Savio Vega, Homicide.
Yeah.
But anybody else like peer wise, there's only a few other guys I do see myself teaming with, but the chemistry wouldn't be like how me and Jarett got it. Like we got it down.
And how important is that to find in wrestling?
It's very important sometimes because in wrestling, it's not a place where you go in and you're gonna make friends off the bat or brothers. There's a selected few that I call like family in wrestling. Like wrestling, I have my extended family, but it's not everybody that's at that table, as you can say. Like, but to find a tag team partner, you have to like be able to find somebody that you guys can be on the same wavelength at all times. When it comes to that hot tag, you gotta make sure that guy's there waiting. If it's either Jarett waiting for that hot tag or me waiting for that hot tag, we gotta go in and protect each other, no matter what. And I know for a fact he has my back, even though there's been a lot of speculation and talk and rumor. Oh, he wasn't there for you for the whole feud with Boujii. He was having his own run,
right? And
I respect that. Yeah. My first match against Boujii, he came out with me. He was on my side. I made sure he went to the back because I wanted things to be fair. Yeah. I have his back. I came out for him. I've come out with him for title matches, for Shadow Wrestling Alliance. I came out with him for his title defense this past summer. That's my brother at the end of the day. I'm going to have his back 100%. I'm a part of the Jarett Diaz brand. We're a part of the Uptown Boys / they love calling us the Bodega Boys. But we're not Disu Somero. So let's make that straight. Let's get that straight. But, it doesn't matter. He was on his run. Yeah. I'll be on my run very soon for certain titles. Right. And I know he'll have my back. Yeah. But at the end of the day, we're brothers. There's nothing bringing that apart. We're best friends. But it's important. It's very important to find a circle of people to be around, especially to have one main or at least two main. That's what you need.
Nice. What are some of the accomplishments in your wrestling career that you're super proud of?
Some of my accomplishments. One, for starters, is continuing on with wrestling, because oh my God, my first day, it's ingrained in my head. My first day of wrestling, it humbled me very much. It's not easy. People think it's easy. It's not. That's one accomplishment I would say. And pushing through with it, because when my mom passed, it was hard for me to like I was gonna quit wrestling. Like literally, she passed away the same year I started. So it wasn't like I had a lot there that I can just be like, oh, I'm throwing it all away. But I had a lot of training in already. And if it wasn't for Steve Pena and Mantequilla, I wouldn't have basically got back in the ring. Okay. And having wrestling, I wouldn't have gotten back in the ring. So I find that being a big accomplishment for me pushing through. Yeah. Another one was winning the DDT heavy metalweight championship from Japan. I won it, held it for about 3 minutes to 5 minutes, went to go use the bathroom. Jimmy Lloyd snuck into the bathroom, banged my head against the urinal, rolled me up in the bathroom, my pants down to my ankles.
That's crazy.
And took the title from me. But I was a DDT heavy metalweight champion, a Japanese title. A prestigious Japanese title.
Very much.
Because Ricochet held it, Kenny Omega held it, a ladder held it, a garbage can, Candice LeRae, Johnny Gargano, the Young Bucks. There's a lot of people and things that won that title. So I'm on that list. I forgot which number I am, but I'm on that list.
But you're in there.
And, having the, teaming with Savio Vega and teaming with, Homicide this year. And debuting at HOG, like that was another big accomplishment of mine. And then to like go to the back and get feedback from Red and Brian was freaking dope. Like these guys, like I freaking watched you guys Ring of Honor, and you guys are giving me feedback, which was so cool. But yeah, like that, those are like my biggest accomplishments. And winning the We Are Wrestling Rumble in the Bronx. Like I eliminated one of my teachers, Bronco International. He was one of the ones that taught me at the Bronx Wrestling Federation, BWF. I eliminated him. It was me and him to the final two. And I eliminated him, and I got the Japanese treatment. I got the streamers. And I was so happy to have done it. And again, I did it on the weekend of my mom's anniversary of her passing. So it was a huge accomplishment for me.
Must have been like a really full circle kind of moment.
100% full circle. And even being at HOG, when I wrestled this year at HOG, was full circle for me. Because that was one of my first indie shows to go to that year that I started training. I went to a show February. It was in the Elks Lodge. I sat ringside, and Johnny Gargano wrestled Anthony Gangone. Candice LeRae wrestled Sonia Strong. And of course, Private Party was there. EYFBO at the time, which is Proud and Powerful, Santana Ortiz. Mantequilla was on that card. Ken Broadway was on that card. Matt Travis, rest in peace, Matt Travis. It was a few. Smiley was on that card. Red was there. So me being there, I'm like, yo, I really like this. Like, I've always joked around with my friends, and we've always wrestled in our building, in our project building. But to then be like, yeah, I'm gonna do this, and then do it, and then 8 years later, walk out at the Amazura Club,
Right.
into a HOG ring, and wrestle in the opening match of Mike Santana's Puerto Rican weekend, which was House of Glory, basically. That was the full circle moment for me, being in that ring. And, everybody says, your mom was there in spirit. Wish she would have been there, like, physically. But again, that's ritual for me. Whenever I go out, I do a prayer before I go out, of course, like every wrestler does it. And sometimes when the nerves are there and I'm like so anxious, I tell Ruthless Lala, I'm like, Auntie, she's like, what's up, nephew? I'm like, I need a prayer. So her and Wolf, they come to me and they put their hands on my shoulders, bow our heads, and they give me a prayer. And she never forgets to include in that prayer, Mama awesome, Papa awesome, watch over him while he's in that ring. She already knows. And I feel different whenever I go in the ring because I feel like she's there. Yeah. I know she's the loudest person in that room. But for her physically to have been there for Puerto Rican weekend would have been ecstatic. And the rest of my family, but like just mainly her. Because she gave me the blessing to do it. Like she was like, go ahead, do it, but there are rules. And you know how all Hispanic moms are, Latina moms are. Yeah. The rules are, don't get hurt. Right. And if you get hurt, so that's on you. And that was the rules, basically. If I get hurt, don't call her, don't tell her I'm hurt, but let her know I'm okay at least.
Because then she's gonna worry.
Yeah, exactly. And then she was like, I'll go to the hospital, and whatever you broke, I'm gonna break it again. And that was the joke. But I was safe. For the time frame that she was still around while I was training, I was safe. Came home with little aches and pains and bruises, but it wasn't like anything was messed up badly.
It was the expected, right?
It was expected. And then the other rule was the day I get, signed to the WWE, to kidnap The Rock and bring him home for her so she can marry him. That was the other rule. But the accomplishments are basically the full circle moments for me, really, and winning that title. Fire. It's freaking amazing.
Nice. Well, man, thank you very much for taking the time to sit down with me. Truly appreciate it.
Anytime, man. Anytime.
Like, always welcome back as well. Like, come on.
Listen, you could do the tag team one. You get me and Jarett here. Right. He'll bring you Arizona. I'll bring you a chopped cheese, and we chilling. That's for
great.
This one.
An interview where I'm fed. Fire.
Yes. Hey, we could do it. So let me know. I'll bring a Coquito too next time.
Oh shit. All right. Well, man, thank you very much. And anything you would like to plug to the cameras?
Yes. You can follow me on Instagram, Matt_awesome17. It's the same thing for X, Twitter, whatever, Elon's Playground, whatever you want to call it. Same thing on Blue Sky. There's a lot of people who haven't been plugging Blue Sky. But Blue Sky, I'm on there too. If you want to play with me on PlayStation Network, I play Call of Duty. I play Tekken. I play a few games there. Same thing on there. Same names, same handle across the board. And don't forget to cop the merch. This isn't on it, unfortunately, but you can cop my merch. It's in my link tree on my Instagram.
Right. And that will also be in the description of this video. So.
And watch my matches on YouTube, people. I have a lot of good ones there.
All right. Until next time, everyone. We out.